Well, I just got done with a follow-up visit with my doctor. He gave me some both good and bad news. The news is, it looks like I'm going to make it. And whether it's good news or bad news depends on if you like me and are rooting for me, or if you despise me and are hoping for my downfall. I'm taking it as good news, though, so I think we should celebrate a little bit. And celebrate means let's go get ourselves some coffee. We're having a bit of a rainy day here. The little storm that has rolled in. And some people are worried about the rain. Some people don't like the rain. But maybe it's because of the good news the doc just gave me. I'm pretty happy to see the rain and be out and about in it. So I'm not complaining about the rain at all. But it is pretty wet out. And it seems as soon as I said that, the rain is starting to come down a little bit heavier, just to test my resolve. But I'm still happy to see the rain. I really like rain. I grew up in the desert, and we'd get a few rainstorms a year, but nothing like this. And I just really enjoy the rain. I enjoy the cooler temperatures too. Plus, there's just something about the rain that kind of deadens the sound of the city. And I'm in a fairly big city right now. I'm in Santa Rosa, up in Northern California. And it's a really nice city here, Santa Rosa is. But it's a big city, and it's loud and lots of traffic and stuff. So that, you know, it's noisy. So the rain kind of dulls all that down a little bit and makes the whole city a little bit more pleasurable to me. Although I do really like Santa Rosa, it's just nice to knock off the rough edges once in a while, I think anyway. Now, in truth, Doc did give me a little bit of bad news. One of the little tidbits that he told me that I didn't really like to hear is that I have to stay away from caffeine for a little while longer, so need to go find some decaf. Now, of course, I didn't really like to hear that so much. He would like me to give up coffee altogether, but we all know how that part of the conversation went. So I am going to get some more decaf, and since I am not near my favorite decaf, which is from a little roastery in Humboldt County called Fogline. Fogline would be my preference, but since I'm too far away to get some, I'm going to get some local decaf from a little city that's just a few miles north of Santa Rosa here. I was thinking I'd drive up there. It's the town of Healdsburg that they're located in. But with the heavy rain and all, I just kind of don't really want to take my new to me van on the freeway because I trust my driving, but I don't really trust anybody else's. So I think I'm just going to stay around town here and see if they might have it stocked at one of the local grocery stores. So it's only about 10 minutes away versus, 20 minutes up to Healdsburg from where I'm at here in Santa Rosa. So might be better just because of the weather. Just playing it safe. So let's head up to Oliver's, just a few miles away, and hopefully they've got that other good decaf in stock. I usually don't get out to this neighborhood very often. This is a nicer change of pace than downtown Santa Rosa, which is very busy, not kind of low-key like it is here. Plus, it's pretty out here. I get some views of more hills and trees, which is also very welcome for me. Anyway, this is Oliver's Market that we're heading to, and Oliver's Market is one of the locally owned markets. I think the employees are part owners, so it's a place that I like to shop at. As I travel around, I do try to shop at the local places, like the food co-ops, if there are some, which there is a very good one here in Santa Rosa as well. But I really like Oliver's, although I don't think I've been to this location. So let's go in and see if they have that second favorite decaf coffee of mine here. Oh, that is one busy store in there. I didn't record much because there were just people everywhere, so there was no place for me to really record to show you what the inside of the store looks like. It's a nice little store. All of the Oliver's stores are really nice. Several people have told me I should check out the Oliver's location in Windsor because it is super nice. And truth be told, I've spent several $100s in there, I think, just this winter alone. So yeah, I know the Windsor location quite well. I try to stay out of that location because that store is so nice that it just encourages me to overspend. So all I did today was I just bought some essentials. Did buy some water because I need that. Just kind of odd to buy water on a rainy day, but that's the way that goes. Did get the coffee I was looking for, so Flying Goat coffee from locally done here from Healdsburg, just kind of, you know, the same area here as Santa Rosa. So good local coffee. It is decaf, and I've had this one before, really liked it. Not quite as good as Fogline, but very, very good. And then I bought some chips because they were on sale. These are very good corn chips, but they are normally very expensive. I guess they're still expensive even if they're on sale, but they're really good. And I bought some salsa to go along with that. So just the bare essentials, of course. And there it is right there, employee-owned store, so there's no question. That's probably why they keep the stores up so nice, is because all the employees that work there have a vested interest in us returning, and it sure does work on me. I really like all of the Oliver's locations. They're just a really good little market. And whenever you buy from a local store like this, you're putting more money into the local economy versus just a big box store. And this is a nice place to be. And because I am a nomad, I do feel extra compelled to spend more money in the area that I am residing in. So, done a little bit of that here today. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have a new van. Had this for a week and a half or so now. A Toyota Sienna, and I am very happy with it. And if you've been following along with my building progress, I have a little more to show you here. I have been working a little bit on the kitchen side here. So, as you can see a little bit, I put a little tabletop here. This is just a work in progress. I've got some more to do with this, but for right now I just got a little bit of plywood so that I have a little bit of a work surface. Also, it's been kind of nice at night. I have somewhere to put my glasses down, which I didn't have before, so it's really been helping out. It does look a little bit sparse in here, and I'm sure a lot of people are not going to like that I pulled out the door cards or whatever they're called, you know, the plastic pieces. But I like having kind of the bare metal, and I'll probably do some work on that in the future too, but I really like having the bare metal. Like, I have a place to put my phone mount here. Another place that is kind of nice, just so I can set my phone at night and not have to worry about it rolling around or falling on the floor. So got a little bit of work here, a little bit of progress with the build. And probably in future episodes, I'll go into a little more detail on how I put the shelf in place. We'll keep that to like a little building video on its own. I really just need to get some coffee going, since I now have some really good decaf to work on. But before that even, I need to get some food. I got up a little bit late, got to the doctor's office on time, but in doing so, I didn't take time to make any food. So I need to make a little bit of something, and that's been kind of a little issue here. I don't have full-on power. I don't have solar power yet in this van, so I've not been running my refrigerator. I've just been keeping some ice in it, and been having a little trouble eating the way I normally like to eat. So I've got something different here today. Let me get into the fridge and show you. Having the fridge like this makes it really kind of difficult. This is a partial bag of ice that I bought a few days ago. I've got a full bag in here. I try to keep them wrapped up because you're really not supposed to put ice in these 12-volt fridges. This one's fairly sealed, but these bags do leak a little bit of water, and I had a few inches of water in here yesterday. It just kind of got away from me, and it's not good because there is a little sensor down on the side wall here, and if water gets into that, it could ruin the fridge totally. So don't want to do that. I do have plans on plugging this fridge back in at some point, but just doing what I can so that I can have some food, even if it's not exactly food that I normally eat. I bought this last night, some raviolis from Trader Joe's. It's cheese and tomato raviolis, and I'm just trying to get things that I can cook easily. I have not set up my old stove yet, and that's just because I'm a little bit wary about running it with this headliner up here. I think that the headliner may melt or catch fire with my old stove. It's just such a high-powered stove. So I have been using my little MSR backpacking stove, and it's good. If I don't keep a pot right on top of it, of course it will get so hot that it feels like it's going to melt the headliner too. So I have to be careful with this one as well. Cool thing about this one is I can actually leave my door open because wind doesn't affect this one nearly as much as my old stove does. So I'm looking at options on stoves at the moment. As much as I really like my old stove, I'm just not quite sure it's the right stove in this van. It worked great in the last van, but not quite sure it's going to work so good in this van. So I'm looking at options on that. Maybe next week I'll have more information on what I'm going to do with that. But anyway, for right now, I'm just using this little rocket stove, and I have been using it down here instead of the new tabletop because the new tabletop puts the stove even closer to the ceiling. I think you could probably sense what I'm thinking here, which is I'm probably going to eventually remove the headliner. And that's probably no surprise because when I put up my privacy curtain here, I did drill some holes through the headliner. So, you know, that should have probably tipped everybody off that I am leaning towards just removing the headliner altogether. If I was going to do something destructive to it already, I'm already kind of leaning in that direction. It's kind of a big job to pull it all out, and then I'm going to have to figure out what to do to cover up some of the exposed metal and things. I would actually prefer just having a metal roof. I had a metal roof in my last van, although I did put some cork up just so that it gave kind of a thermal break, because like on a day like today where it's really cold out, it's kind of cold in here too. If you don't have some kind of thermal break, not necessarily insulation, but just some kind of thermal break between the thin sheet metal and the cold outside, you will get some condensation, which I don't want. So that's why I'm just leaving the headliner up in place right now. But I'm getting hungry and I'm getting ready to get back to cooking for myself. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I should think about the headliner sooner than later. Who knows? Oh, you're gonna do this again to me. I did this morning. I didn't want to light at first. I can see the spark. Well, get my lighter out, I guess. Let's try this. Oh, that works. I don't know if that's an issue with these or not, but it's been an issue here today, not wanting to light, but that's why I keep a lighter or two around. I've kind of misplaced my electronic lighter. Hopefully I didn't lose it. And why does that pot look like it's not sitting correctly? As long as it's not going to fall over, I guess I shouldn't worry about it. It was so cold in the store there that I instantly got a craving for chili, which in my old van, the last few weeks of my old van, well, last few months, I guess, of my old van, I was making a lot of chili, buying some local beef, and not all the time, but sometimes I'd cook the beans from scratch, you know, dried beans, cook them up. And so it was a very cost-effective meal, which was what I was trying to do since I was trying to be able to get enough money together to buy this van. Last year was a pretty good year savings-wise for me, but I was, you know, just trying to do everything I could to have as much cash to put down on this van as I possibly could. So by making chili, I was, one, not only saving a lot of money, but two, eating what I wanted to eat, make it nice and spicy for myself. And sometimes I put some vegetables in it, but usually not. I do eat vegetables, even though I'm eating not vegetables here today and talking about having a craving for chili. Normally, I go out and get a salad at a salad bar from one of the restaurants, or well, at a grocery store usually. Not a restaurant, but a grocery store. But not been doing that quite so much the last couple of days because it's so chilly out, and I just have not been feeling like eating salad when it's cold and wet. Just doesn't seem like the thing to eat. So that's why I was thinking I would like some chili. I did look for a can of chili there, and all of them had ingredients that I could not eat, so I didn't buy any. I did think about making some, but I already bought this from Trader Joe's, so this will have to do today. I'm making a mess. Also, I should just say that I don't mean to imply that I have been cold at all when I'm in the van here. I did set up my heater, and it's been working really good. In fact, it works a little bit too good, I think. I need to get a little bit better ventilation in the van. So at night, when it's all closed up, I just don't have quite as much airflow as the old van did. So the old van stayed comfortable. Even if I was running this on high, I could run it on high and not get overheated, unless it gets really cold. But the other night, it was like, the low was like 31 degrees. And so I just ran this all night on low. And it was a little bit too warm for me, really, overnight. I checked the temperature, and when it was at the lowest 31 degrees outside, it was about 55 degrees in the van, which I would prefer it to be a little bit cooler, because I've got this big down duvet that I sleep under, and so even at 55, it's a little bit too warm for me under the duvet. So I tend to kind of wake up and toss the duvet off. I get chilly, put it back on. So, you know, it wasn't the most comfortable night, but I think if I got a little bit better ventilation in here, I could just run on low and it would be just about perfect. Of course, I'm losing some heat out of the van, and that's just something that I put up with just because I would rather have the airflow, being that I want to be outside anyway. I like having that feeling of just lots and lots of fresh air. So I don't mind losing a little bit of heat out the vents. I would just prefer having the fresh air come in. So a little bit of tweaking I need to do on this van to get it to be as comfortable as the old van. But we're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there. And one of the things that's helped the most is the new little kitchen shelf. Even though it's not even remotely done, it's just been incredibly useful, not just as a kitchen shelf, but just incredibly useful for just everything. Having more storage is definitely better than having less storage, you know. I definitely need to take a look at that pot support on that MSR stove. Something's going on with that. I don't know when that happened. I've been using that stove every day, and it's really been coming in clutch. I am so happy that I've had it, and I hardly have thought about that stove much over the last couple of years that I've had it. Maybe I've had it longer than that, because I just don't use it very often. I just kind of forget that I have it, but it's definitely been a good buy now, I would say, that I've been using it so much. And I'm just going to drain off the water here. I think these are cooked through. I hope they're cooked through. Yeah, they look okay. They might be overdone. They're hot. These are okay, but I think I like the butternut squash ravioli from Trader Joe's much better. I did buy a pack of those, and then I thought, well, I already ate a pack of those the other day, so I thought I'll buy these cheese and tomato ones just as a change-up, but should have just bought the butternut. Butternut squash are really good. These are so-so. That was really not the best lunch I've had in a while. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. I like Trader Joe's, but Some things that they sell are just not that great. And it didn't help that I somehow didn't stir one at the bottom, so it burnt onto the bottom of the pan. So now, not only did I not enjoy my lunch very much, now I've got a burnt pan to clean up. What am I going to do? I was just going to clean this with vinegar like I normally do. Let's see if it works. I probably would have enjoyed this better if I hadn't gotten that craving for chili. That's probably what it was. Although I'm still not going to recommend these particular raviolis. Well, not very good. I'm going to need to get a little scouring pad out and wash this for realsies. But that will wait a moment. I'm just going to set this aside. And I think there's a park right next door. We'll move over to the park and then make our coffee. That'll have me forgetting about my disastrous lunch. It wasn't that bad. It just wasn't that tasty. I think I'm going to leave my lighter out, though. I've got one of these little binder clips. And now that I have some metal, I can just position this up on the metal here so I don't lose it. It'll just stay right there. Because I'm guessing that that's going to keep happening with this. Oh, I also need to kind of look at the pot support on this. Oh, I see it. That little support is bent right there. So I could probably bend it back. Don't know how I didn't notice that until just now. I wonder what I did. I probably kicked it. As nice as the stove has been to me, I'm not treating it very good, am I? Oh well, I'll fix it up. Oh, we didn't go very far. It's practically the same parking lot. The store's right over there. We were just parked on that side of the parking lot. Oh, the rain is picking up again, though. It is pretty out here, though. I think, anyway. It's cold and wet, though. Oh, I need to get that scrub pad, don't I? I'm not so sure I'm going to find what I'm looking for. I know I have a little scrubby pad. I just don't remember what I did with it. And I've got everything packed in the back here in such a way that it's really difficult to get to anything. The other day when I put the shelf in, I did a little rearranging, and I actually put my power supply back here on this rack, which has worked much better having it back here. But it also makes it a little harder to get into these bags back here. Am I going to find what I'm looking for? Am I even looking in the right place? These are questions. And the answer to that is no, I was not even looking in the right place. It was right in here. I didn't have to go in the back at all. This is the trouble with moving and not having anything really in a designated spot. I used to know where everything was, sort of anyway. Well, that's only probably half true. There were lots of times I'd lose things, but usually I knew where most things were. In here, it's just a roll of the dice whether I'm gonna actually find what I'm looking for, but here we go. So I can clean up my little pan so that we can make some coffee. For years I worked in a restaurant, and the chef would always say that if you burn a pan, it will just always burn after that. And I actually burned this the other day doing something. I forget what I was cooking in it the other day. These little pans are really not meant to be cooked in. So, you know, it's taking my chances. Oh, I guess I was just heating up soup in it, so I wasn't really even cooking anything. But I guess I left it for a little bit too long, which is easy to do with those little rocket stoves. They really just put out a really fine bit of high heat in one spot. So it's easy to kind of have some burning happening. And this is really not supposed to be a pot anyway. It's supposed to be a kettle, which is why it's got that little pour spout on it. I don't think it does anything well, really, but it's the only piece of cookware that I trust sitting on top of this little stove, because the stove is kind of top heavy whenever you put anything on it. It doesn't feel like it at first, but once you have a little bit of weight sitting on top of it, even just a can of soup, it tends to be a little tippy. So now I've got a nice stable place to put it. except I don't really like using it here just because it's so close to the ceiling. So there's little issues, you know. These are all the little issues that go on when you're moving into a new van that you just gotta figure out. So I'm figuring them all out. Oh, and I probably should mention too that I know some of you worry about me using gas and cooking stuff and doing things in the van. Since I have put this vent in, I haven't had an issue with using this stove inside the van. So I do have a carbon monoxide detector, and I check it periodically. It holds the highest setting over the last 24 hours or something. Maybe it holds it indefinitely. I don't know. I've never really had this read anything in the old van because my old van had such good ventilation. This never actually read anything other than 0. For a while, I wasn't even sure it was working. But it certainly is working now, I found out, since I moved into here. But like I said, since I put the vent in here, it hasn't really been an issue running this, even though this is not the best place to run a stove like this inside. I actually found another vent, and I'll be working on opening it up and getting a little more airflow that way. If you know my old van had a floor vent, and there are some vents on the side of this van. All vehicles have them. They're there so that when you slam the doors, when you shut the doors, there isn't pressure that builds up, because if there wasn't some kind of vent to relieve the pressure when you close the doors, it would be hard to close the doors. So all cars have those, and I just found them the other day when I took all the panels off here. So I'm thinking about what I want to do with that. I do have 1, maybe 2 computer fans that I could move over there in front of that little vent and get a little more air movement in here. So I may or may not have a floor vent. People keep asking me, are you going to put a floor vent in this van? I don't know. And you know, for every other thing that people keep asking me about, they say, you know, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? I don't know. When I know, I'll make a video and tell you. When I did this, I didn't even know I was going to do this. I just, for some reason, tore into this whole side the other day, and this happened. So I don't really even know. So you can keep asking me what I'm going to do, but I'm probably going to know exactly when you will know. Okay, so to bend this back, I might have an easier time if I just take this little arm off. So I've got a little Allen head wrench here. Let me see if I can do that. Oh yeah, that's not too tight. Let's see. So get this off of here, and then take some pliers and see if I can't just bend this back into place. Also, I should try not to drop any of these things. All kinds of little parts here. Nope, I just did. So that little tab needs to get bent back. So I've got the world's worst pliers here. These are Harbor Freight pliers, and haven't used them a whole lot. They're already rusty. I guess I've had them a long time though, and they were pretty cheap. How am I going to do this? With great difficulty, because I'm not really mechanically inclined. But we'll figure it out. Hey, that looks better already. That's almost there. I think we did it. We fixed it. They all look the way they're supposed to now. I think, more or less anyway. So this is a big hooray, because now we can have some coffee. It's sitting a little bit better. And the question is, will this light? And the answer is no. But we do have our trusty lighter. You know, since moving into this van, I've been making coffee without all my regular equipment. Like, I haven't been weighing the beans out like I normally do. Just not really measuring too precisely, I guess. And one of the other things that I've been doing differently is I've even been using my grinder without the little pommel on the handle. The pommel keeps falling off, and I know it's somewhere in the little bin I have with my cooking supplies, but I'm not going to find it now. I'll just continue on doing it this way. It's not quite as comfortable to grind like this, but it works. All these little things I'm doing just for the short term until the kitchen gets up and running. And at this point, I really need the kitchen to get up and running. I'm getting tired of all of this stuff. Just a little complaining, you know, a little complaining. I don't really mean it. I'm just talking here. Okay, that is boiling, so we are good to go there. Let me heat up my mug a little bit here. Even though I'm not measuring things out, I am trying to do some of the little things that make a better cup of coffee, like warming up my mug. And I am still using my AeroPress, of course, because it's so easy. And it's probably the perfect brewer for a non-kitchen. I know people make AeroPress coffees on a plane, which I think is rather silly, but they do it. So it can be done to use a AeroPress in a tight spot without much of anything around. I haven't even been stirring my coffee with a chopstick, which is what I normally do. I've just been giving it a little swirl. And that seems to work okay. All right, and while we're talking coffee here, now I mentioned this earlier, but I have favorites of coffees. As I travel around, there are coffees that I really like. And of course, I call Fogline coffee my favorite coffee because they've just been the most consistent coffee roaster that I've come across. Second and third would be Groundwork, which is a much bigger brand, although I'm not sure you can find them on the East Coast. I think they're kind of a West Coast brand. They have roasteries in Los Angeles and Portland, Oregon, of course. And then let's see, Olympia Coffee Roasters from Olympia, Seattle, the state of Seattle. Those would be my top three, but Fogline is definitely my favorite, in part because I like to buy from a smaller company. And this is what I kind of want to talk about here. I went out of my way to go get some of this Flying Goat coffee. One, because I really like it, and it is, you know, I'm not just saying this, it is my second favorite decaf coffee that I've tried anywhere. Although there is a little company out in the Olympics that I liked, and it could rival this one as my second favorite, but we'll just say that this is my second favorite behind Fogline. But the thing that I like about this company is that it's a small, locally owned and run company. So this is coffee that is roasted right here in this county that I'm in currently. And it's something that I feel kind of obliged to do. And I mentioned this before, like when I do my grocery shopping, I try to shop at the local stores where the money that I spend, every dollar that I spend there, just goes a little bit further because it is a locally owned and run store. And I've talked about this a lot in the past, and seems like with the coffee thing, it kind of gets overlooked, what I'm trying to do here. When I'm talking about coffee, whether it's Fogline, Groundwork, Olympia, or Flying Goat coffee that we're drinking here, or brewing up here today, we haven't had any yet, have we? I don't mean for you to go and buy those coffees, mail order those coffees, so you can try them if you're not in the area. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, look at the coffee that is in your area. There are probably roasters very close to you, and they might be a small company like Flying Goat, or even smaller like Fogline, that would really appreciate your work, you know, your business. They have a hard time keeping up with the Starbucks and the Pete's and the Dunkin' Donuts. Those big companies get coffee at a much lower price because they're buying in big bulk amounts. And so those are always going to be a little bit cheaper to buy. So the little local roasters really need our support, and it's the one thing that I can do. And of course I do enjoy trying different coffees as I move around. So to me, it's always just a win that I can get to constantly have a new coffee that I can try out. And then of course, when I leave an area, maybe I can't get it for a little while. But I look forward to getting it when I get back to that area in the future. So please, if I talk about a coffee, I'm not encouraging you to go and look it up and ship it to yourself across the country or across the world. I'm hoping that you go and find a local roaster near you. It always pains me a little bit when somebody says, hey, I bought that coffee and had it shipped to, Timbuktu. But I always really enjoy hearing or reading a comment with somebody saying that, hey, I found a local roaster that was in my town or the next town over that I never knew about. That's what makes me really happy. All that said, if you do want to buy a coffee that I do enjoy myself and you just want to order something in, Fogline would be the coffee that I would recommend. Tiny little company that just does coffee incredibly well. So if you do want to order something, that's my choice, my suggestion, I guess I should say. But I'm really hoping that you find a company near you that you can get something good, just like Flying Goat here. One thing I've noticed about brewing up coffee using this little thin kettle is that this doesn't stay quite as hot. So when I get done brewing the coffee, it's not piping hot like if I used a regular kettle. I guess I could put the lid on this, but I don't think it's going to help too much just because the metal is so thin that it just doesn't hold on to heat very well, especially on a cool day like today. It's not such a terrible thing though, because I can actually drink my coffee as soon as I brew it, which I normally can't if I'm brewing it with my regular kettle. So good and bad there, but I am getting a little tired of this whole setup, but I probably mentioned that earlier. Part of the reason I moved over here to be near the park is to open up the door and have a little view, but the wind and the rain has picked up quite a bit, although I think it's just dropped off a little bit now. So maybe we can open the door. Yeah, it's not the most pleasant day outside, but I would much prefer to be out with a little bit of wind, except that this might be a little too much wind, and it's getting a little bit wet inside. So maybe I should just take a walk instead of letting the van get wet inside. This may not have been the best idea. It's a little miserable out here. I don't mind a little rain once in a while, but once the wind picks up, then I'm kind of over it and I kind of want to be back inside. But it sure is pretty out here. Also, I wanted to look for a trash can. I was supposed to dump my trash earlier and then I didn't remember to dump it out. So I was going to dump it out here, but I don't see a trash can out here. This is called a park on the map, but it doesn't look very park-like really. I guess there's a trail or two around. It's pretty. It's also not terribly comfortable out here, but I'll walk a little bit. Maybe I'll find a trash can at some point. Yeah, that's enough. I've had enough. Okay, even just a minute or two with the door open, you see how much water I'm getting in here. I guess I've got to close away the world. Well, this has been a pretty good day all the way around. A little bit wet and cold, but not bad at all, really. And it was pretty nice this morning to get some good news from the doctor. Been kind of worried about that a little bit. If you're a channel supporter, you know a little more about that story. I'm not going to get into any more details health-wise about that, but good news. So that's as much as I'm going to share there. I do need to get back kind of near downtown Santa Rosa, so probably tonight or tomorrow I need to be back in downtown. So I think I'm just going to end this one here today. And thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.